Hey friends, welcome to today's video. My name's Stephanie if you're new here, and today we're going to be looking at Holo Taco's new Magnetic Magic collection. These are 5 brand new shades in a brand new formula to the Holo Taco line, and I'm really excited to share some sun swatches today, but I'm also going to be sharing some comparisons to a few other magnetics at the end, and those will be under my normal kind of indoor desk lighting. So yeah, let's just get into the swatches. So the first shade is Wicked Potion, which is described as a deep emerald with a dash of scattered holo and a lighter green magnetic pigment. So I believe the magnetic shimmer in all of these are duochromes, but you'll only really see the primary color in direct sunlight. But stay tuned until the end of the video when I'm doing comparisons, because those will be under my desk lighting, so you'll kind of see that shift. But anyway, onto the swatch and the formula. I found that the base wasn't as sheer as some other magnetics that I've used before, where it might have more of a jelly type of finish and it's very, very sheer. So this one gave me really even and honestly almost full coverage on the first coat. So I was really impressed by that. These do come with a skinny brush, which I feel like doesn't really help with the application, but again, at least the formula was really good. I think if these were more of the jelly magnetic formulas, it would be much more annoying to use the skinny brush, but I don't think it makes that much of a difference for these formulas specifically. So since this has a dark green base, I got it opaque on my nails in 2 coats, and I think it looks absolutely beautiful. I really think this is my favorite from the collection. It is just so stunning. Next up we have Queen's Curse, which is described as a royal regent purple that also has that scattered holographic microflaky, and this one has a bright purple to pink duochrome magnetic shimmer. And I feel like it kind of leans orange in very extreme angles too. But anyway, I also want to mention that I feel like this polish and a few others kind of look a little bit more satiny with their shimmer. Like compared to Wicked Potion, I feel like that one was a little bit more sparkly and the shimmer in this one is a little bit more fine. So just, you know, a minor difference, but I just wanted to mention it since I noticed it. But anyway, this one is a super deep eggplant kind of base color, and I was honestly kind of surprised to see how dark this one was, but surprised in a good way because I actually really like this one too. So like the last shade, this one had a really great formula and it was nearly opaque for me on the first coat because of how dark the base color is, but I still did 2 just to even things out. And again, I am just a huge fan of this shade. I really like it more than I thought I was going to because it was just not really standing out to me at first. But you know, once I saw swatches and put it on myself, I was like, oh, this is so beautiful. It's just like this rich jewel tone purple, perfect for the winter season. The next shade is Twice in a Blue Moon, which is described as a gleaming aqua blue with scattered holo flakies, and this one features an electric blue to purple duochrome shimmer, which you can kind of see in the corner of the bottle. So this one basically had the same formula as the other 2 polishes. I just ended up doing a slightly thinner coat because I had flooded my cuticle the first time. So yeah, don't mind the application here. It's not exactly thinner or anything than the other ones. It just is, you know, my application. So this one was opaque for me in 2 coats. And I guess unless you tend to do really thin coats, then maybe I could see you needing a 3rd for this shade just because the base isn't as deep as the first 2 polishes, but it still deepens up quite a bit. I feel like it has such a really beautiful like midnight blue or maybe more of a cobalt blue base, and with those holo flecks in there, it just like reminds me of the night sky, and it is so pretty. Definitely a beautiful winter polish. The next polish is Love Spell, which is described as a powerful red magenta shade with scattered holo and a bright reddish pink to orangey gold duochrome magnetic shimmer. So if you can believe it, I was the least excited about this shade at first. When I first got the collection, you know, when I first saw the lineup, I was like, you know, I have a few sparkly reds already. But wow, once I put this one on, I was just so blown away. I think this is another polish that is like sparkly like Wicked Potion. I don't know if there's just like more of those hollow flecks in them. It's just not as shimmery, you know, for whatever reason. So maybe it's just that little touch of extra sparkle that makes me like love this polish and Wicked Potion like so much. Formula wise, amazing. They were just as good as the other polishes. It does have a very deep colored base, but I could see you potentially needing a third coat. I feel like in certain lighting you could still see through to like my nail line a little bit, but it didn't bother me enough to do a third. So I really love this one. And lastly, we have Fairy Tale, which is described as a rich brown taupe shade with that same scattered hollow fleck. And this one features a light bronze to a gold magnetic shimmer. But I will say I don't think the duochrome effect is as strong in this polish as some of the other ones, but I was still very excited to try this shade because it just reminded me of like a teddy bear. It looks so cozy, and I don't have a polish like this in my collection, so I was the most excited for this one. So I decided to swatch it using the velvet nail technique just to show you something different, and I really like it. I wasn't as impressed as I thought I was going to be, but I'll get into that in a second. Formula wise, it was great, opaque in 2 coats, and as you see, I will swatch balancing the magnet on one side of my nail and immediately move it to the other side. But yeah, it didn't really give me that strong of a velvet effect. I think it's because this has more of a finer shimmer, so it kind of looks a little bit more satiny, but it's still beautiful. So on to comparisons, we're starting with Wicked Potion and comparing it to Mooncat's We're Back Witches from their Hocus Pocus 2 collection. So right away, you might notice that they are not dupes because Mooncat has those really big gold flakies, but they are a lot more similar than you'd think. I'm also going to be showing it next to Cirque's Mood Ring, which is a very popular magnetic. Definitely very beautiful and kind of similar, but once on the nail, you can see I have Holo Taco on my pointer and ring finger, Mooncat on my middle finger, and Cirque on my pinky. And Cirque is not really that similar anymore. You can tell it has more of that teal base, and it's more of a jelly as well, so it's a little bit more sheer. And the Mooncat is definitely the most similar to the Holo Taco shade. Even though it does have those big gold flakies and it's not a dupe, I feel like these two can be cousins. You know what I mean? Like they're very similar. I feel like even the magnetic shimmer is the same. But anyway, here is Wicked Potion velvetized, if that's a word, on my thumb. And hopefully you can see what I mean, where it's not as satiny. Next up for Queen's Curse, we're going to be comparing it to Mooncat's Malevolent, which came out in their recent Bring It Back collection. And they're not dupes, again, but they are really similar. I feel like they could be cousins twice removed this time. And I'm going to be showing it next to Cirque's Paradox, which is one of my favorite magnetics and definitely a popular shade, so I feel like a few of you might have this one. They're definitely not dupes. They might have some similar shifts in the magnetic pigment, but on the nail here, you can see that Cirque on my pinky is more of a burgundy kind of base with a blue shimmer like head on. So it doesn't really compare in my book. The Mooncat shade is definitely very similar again, but it does have a black base instead of a very deep purple base. So you are going to notice those differences there. And I will say I think the Mooncat also has more of a prominent hollow glitter and more of a prominent duochrome shift. So here is Queen's Curse on my thumb that is velvetized, and you can see that it's just like a really fine shimmer, so it kind of leans into that satiny kind of effect. And now, the moment that we've been waiting for, Holo Taco Twice in a Blue Moon next to ILNP's 0 Degrees from their Winter Wonderland collection. I really thought that these were going to be dupes, but they are pretty different. So again, I have Holo Taco on my pointer and ring finger and ILNP on my middle and pinky fingers. And I'm showing both the cat eye effect on my first 2 fingers and the velvet effect on my last 2, I guess. So right away, yeah, they're not dupes. The shimmer is the most obvious difference, where Holo Taco is more of that, you know, bright electric blue and ILNP is more silvery. So yeah, I really think it will just come down to preference, you know. I think it is justifiable to have both of these because they're not that similar. But I will say, you know, if you do care about wearing like velvet nails, I personally prefer the ILNP shade because it just looks way more intense with that velvet effect. Again, the Holo Taco here just looks kind of satiny. And lastly, for Love Spell, we're going to be comparing it to Mooncat's Reclaim the Flame from their Hocus Pocus 2 collection, which again, I don't think they have on their website anymore, but these are still very, very similar. And we're also going to be looking at Cirque's Kinetic from their Illusion collection, I think last year. So this one definitely has been discontinued for a while, but just in case anyone has it, you know, these are pretty good comparisons, even though they aren't dupes. So they're definitely all within the same family. I have Holo Taco on my pointer and ring finger, Mooncat on my middle, and Cirque on my pinky. And I will say, formula-wise, Cirque was the most sheer and jelly-ish, so I feel like you could see more of my nail line with that polish, and it also just is the only one that doesn't have any extra like hollow or flakies in it. It's just a straight up magnetic polish. So aside from the difference in the flakies, I still think Mooncat and Holo Taco are just more similar, to the point where if you have the Mooncat shade, I don't think you would need this Holo Taco shade. But if you miss the Mooncat shade, then picking up Love Spell would be a great alternative. And here is Love Spell on my thumb with the velvet effect. So I don't think I mentioned it, but all of these have been 2 coats that I'm sharing for my swatches. So that wraps up my swatches and comparisons for the new Holo Taco Magnetic Magic collection. So I'm really excited to hear what you all think about this collection because, like I said 1,000 times already, I'm a really big fan of these. And to be completely honest, I was like a little nervous at first because we have seen a lot of magnetic polishes being released this year. And I know it is really exciting because these are Holo Taco's first magnetics, so you know this is a new formula for the brand specifically. But if you are, you know, into other indie brands, these aren't really new by any means. So I was really interested to see how these would compare to some other magnetic polishes, because magnetics in general aren't even towards like the top of my favorite finishes. So I think, you know, for me personally, it's a lot easier to be a little bit more critical of them. And I feel like they have to be like unique in order for me to be excited about them. And while I don't think these are especially unique, I still think they are just so beautiful and such a great like standout first magnetic release for the brand. So if you've never tried magnetics before, I think these are really great to get into, but I am probably going to be more excited to see this collection just be expanded on in the future, which I know is like so ahead of myself. But yeah, I'm really hoping that they will just, you know, add some new colors to this line, maybe some slight differences with the duochrome shimmer or just other flakies or something. But yeah, anyway, leave me any and all thoughts that you have down below so we can chat about it. But thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.